So welcome to this third season of Season the Scholar. And after long follow-up, that finally we have with us Professor Indu Mathil Nambi, who is a rising name, rising woman scientist who has already produced several faculties in the IIT system. And she has been a voice in contamination field, and we will know more about her from her. So welcome, Professor Nambi. Thank you very much for agreeing to come here.
Thank you, Professor Manish, for inviting me.
Can you just shed a light on your childhood and your family? Where did you grow up, and what you were as a child, and up to maybe college?
Okay. Yeah, so I grew up in Chennai all my life to a very humble parents who were government servants. My father was working for the state government and my mother was working for the central government. So they were the first people to be out of educated, the first in the family, and coming out into the city to take up a job. So I had a lot of family. I still have a lot of family in small towns and my father's native village. So I had that, always had that connect, I think, with the rural community and the hardships and also the wonderful life they have apart from the hard work. And yeah, had the privilege of being in beautiful environment in my vacation, summer vacation. And I always had to compare the city life and the rural life. Every year I go back and forth between the city and the village. So yeah, so as a child, I think I got the best of the education because of my parents, hardworking parents, were trying to give us the best what they could not get. So no regrets. Went to a very good school and was fortunate enough to get into the best engineering college in those times, College of Engineering Guindy, which is almost 225 years old, with the best teachers. So I would say I had a very privileged childhood and college education. And after that, I did 1 year of break. I mean, after my undergraduation, I did my post-graduation.
So how about your sibling? I mean, you are the eldest, or how many siblings do you have? What were their influences?
Yes, I'm the second. I just have one brother.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a mechanical engineer originally, but moved on to the IT industry, the usual stuff most of the engineers do.
What influenced you to go for higher studies? Why don't you stop at BTech and go for become an engineer?
Yeah, I think at engineering, when I was doing my engineering, of course, I did. I cracked the entrance exam, and in my engineering also, I was topping my undergraduation and my post-graduation. But at the undergraduate level, I did too many civil engineering, the core structural engineering courses, as I think most of us civil engineers do that. take only structures, geotechnical. We are exposed to that. So I took a lot of structural engineering courses that I got too much saturated with that. And I had two courses in environmental engineering, and that was taught by one of the, I would say, a very, very meticulous, I would say, an inspiring teacher. So it got my attention. And then I decided that since I got too saturated with structures, environmental engineering would be a good option for me for higher education, because two things. I was drawn to it because of my professor, and also I was exploring options to go and study abroad. And so environmental engineering, there were a lot of good schools abroad. And at that time, I think it was early 90s. It was one of the sought after graduate programs in the US. So two reasons I chose environmental engineering for my master's.
Actually, this influence of a teacher it has been a little common thing that I have been experienced in my little journey of 2 years of the Seasoned Scholar. And several, I mean, the summer. So this is a kind of pattern I am seeing. What kind of child you were? A introvert or just studious, or what kind of?
Yeah, I think I will fall under the studious category. Yes, and yeah. I had a lot of friends, although I was studious, and most of them, yeah, were from my school and my neighborhood, and yeah, I had a very, very, very nice memories of my school days.
So now let's go to the higher studies. You already told that why you chose, and your both degree, BE and ME, was from Anna University. So then, whether it was enough of Anna University that took you to the US, or it was your pre-plan that after master you will certainly go to the abroad?
Yeah, I wanted to do environmental engineering. I finished my environmental engineering, and at that point of time, my brother was already in the US finished his master's, and he started job. So although I wanted to do PhD, I mean, the aim was to reach the highest in the education level. So right from the beginning. But since my brother was away, I decided that I should stay back in India for my parents. So I took up a job in L&T, Larsen and Toubro, soon after my master's. So, and I was very happy. It was the best engineering company, and I was the only woman engineer handling the, they used to call it the plumbing department, or environment engineering was all about plumbing those days. So they did, it was under the mechanical engineering department. Only they were handling all the environmental engineering projects like treatment plants, water, wastewater, and they were handling all these for international clients. In India, we still did not have large infrastructure projects in environmental engineering. So I was selected through an interview process because of my master's thesis on optimization of pipeline networks. And they were doing a lot of pipeline networks. So because it is very, very rare that L&T would select a woman engineer those days.
And how about, I mean, a story behind Postdam? Whether, I mean, you applied several other places, or what is the, how did you get to that university?
How I landed in Potsdam. That's also, it's a very strange story because as I told you, I did not want to go to US because I wanted to be with my parents. But then I think fate had it differently. My parents wanted me to get married, and so this whole traditional way of arranged marriage was a very stressful process. Like all this coming to see the bride, and all kinds of questioning and all that. It really put me off. And so I think after a I think I would have gone through 2 of such experiences, and I said, no, this is not what I am. I don't want to go through this. So let me. The only way I could get away is to tell my parents I want to go for a PhD. So let me go. I will come back. I promised them. But let me go for PhD. And so I had to run away from arranged marriage. That's why I went for my PhD at that point of time. And so by that time, it was already March, and almost all the institutes, universities had their deadlines were completed. And I only had like 2 options left. I think it was Oklahoma and Clarkson. They had a very late deadline, I think, end of March. So I think that's what took me to Clarkson. I applied.
One thing about is transition, PhD, and from PhD to becoming a faculty. How was that transition for you?
Yes, of course. I think when you are in a PhD and when you're doing all your teaching assignments as part of TA work, it was you were drawn into. I was actually drawn into teaching. I really enjoyed the teaching exercises, teaching assignments which were given to me. And so when I was almost nearing my completion of my PhD, I was debating between teaching and a job in the industry, and decided for teaching, but I wanted to do it after getting industrial exposure. Then I started applying for a lot of jobs in the US, environment consulting companies, and all my L&T experience also made me a little more inclined towards industry job, at least for a few years, because I didn't want to go like a pure academician to teaching. To do justice to my teaching, I thought some industry exposure is good. Well, I did interview in one company called Geosyntech, based in, no, I got my postdoc position first. Yes.
Urbana campaign.
Yes. Yeah, this is after Urbana. So postdoc experience in US is always important to have a new academic environment. From Clarkson to Urbana-Champaign, it was a big change because the university itself is huge, and the research groups are much larger in Urbana-Champaign. And I wanted to diversify into a new area or aligned area to my PhD. So all that worked really well. So when I got this postdoc offer, I took it up. And
you spent fair long time in the postdoc, almost 3 years.
Yes, that was partly because of my health reasons. I had to take a break in between, and that's when my daughter was also born. So it was a.
How many offspring do you have?
Pardon?
How many offspring do you have?
Oh, just one.
Just one daughter?
Yes, one daughter.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what she is now doing?
She is in her final year of civil engineering in my
Again, civil
alma
engineering.
mater, Anna University.
Wow. Wow. So you produced civil engineer. Yeah, I mean, and it is very nice to see, I mean, women the students to take civil engineering, and that is really, and that is to a structural engineering. That is, so she is also taking a structural engineering.
No, she wants to do construction management.
Okay, construction. Yeah, now this is a booming area, and a lot of work is there. I wanted to know that, okay, because of the deadlines, you got into the postdoc, but how did you choose your supervisor and also your PhD topic? That, okay, this is the
That
one
was,
I am going to work on.
that is very that's a very straightforward thing, because she had a research assistantship in groundwater contamination, and in my SOP, again I was influenced by one of my teachers who taught me geotechnical engineering. He was also very passionate about groundwater, and so when I told him that I'm going to apply for PhD, he said groundwater, India's groundwater is needs a lot of expertise. We are lacking in that expertise. So if at all you do PhD, do something in groundwater. So that went into my SOP, and that got me my assistantship, research assistantship. So I got
And
a
that
call.
got you the supervisor.
Pardon? Yeah, my supervisor had a project that was her first. I'm her first PhD student. So she did work in Apple contamination of groundwater, and so there was a fit with my SOP, and she called me from the US to tell me that to check with me whether I'm interested in working in this research topic, and she has research funding to support me. And I think that was the turning point, and my parents couldn't say no, since I was getting a full assistantship and I'm going to be an RA. So yeah, that's how my topic got fixed. So I did have some interest. Again, I think at that age, most of your decisions are based on the advice you get from others, right? You're not exposed like the current day kids to a lot of things outside what you learn in college. So I don't have any regrets, you know, because even now groundwater
Certainly
is a
not.
field.
Certainly not.
Yeah, even now groundwater is a field which has very little expertise. You would know
Very little.
better, right? Even among the water resources engineers, not many are there in the groundwater field.
Yeah, most of them will go to the wastewater treatment and all those things.
Surface
Though
water or something.
surface
Yeah.
water, but the dependence on groundwater is unprecedented in India, and I think we are surviving on the groundwater. And many times I get worried about groundwater, that how it is being, especially because of this submersible pump, and which draws the water with so much a speed that 1,000 liter of the tank will be filled in 15 odd minutes. And if that machine will be kept on, and for another 10 minutes, it means 1,000 liter of the precious water gone.
Yeah.
So that's the point. Yeah, coming back to your the PhD, how was your relationship with your guide? Whether it was a smooth travel, or there were some some hiccups and those things. Any interesting story you want to pick from there?
Yeah, I was her first PhD student, as I told, and so she was also experimenting, I think, with the guiding. students, and I was
Yeah.
new. It was a cultural difference. There was a lot of understanding issues. Like when I wanted to after 1 year, I wanted to come for my wedding, and she did not like the idea of me going away for
Uh,
4 weeks right after
mhm.
the first year. But it was important for us, and so little things like that. But overall, she was an excellent advisor, and it was easy to communicate having a woman advisor, I think, because with the cultural difference and the new place and all that, I think that was a little bit, it eased the pressure a little bit having a woman advisor, uh, because I was coming out of the country for the first time. Uh, so overall, it was a smooth journey. She was demanding because I'm her first PhD student, and she also had to show progress as a young faculty. But that helped. And I could build the lab along with her. And so it was a learning experience, uh, mentoring MTech scholars, and there were a lot of research for undergraduate students programs in Clarkson. So I used to work with a lot of undergraduates in research projects. So all that was quite a very interesting experience for me. And I think that also kind of helped me mold myself into an academic researcher and faculty.
Well, you become a postdoc. What was your research topic?
In my postdoc, we were looking at bioremediation and what factors control bioremediation in an aquifer system, particularly under limited nutrient conditions, like when there is an oil spill or a solvent spill. Already the solvent would be toxic to the microbes. So there is a zone a little bit away from your spill zone that will be an optimal zone of microbial growth, where it is neither too toxic or it still needs a carbon source to grow and multiply, right? So in a porous network, we need to identify where these optimal zones are and how the biofilms move with respect to the food source. That was interesting. It was done in a very small 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter silicon micro model. It was built it was actually etched in wafers. The entire porous network was etched in wafers in a 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter grid, and we created flow. It's a flow cell. So you could do all your experiments. You could inject the contaminant perchloroethylene, which is chlorinated solvent, a deadly contaminant, and it's very commonly used in our laundry. So
actually, you are talking about your 2003 paper, porous scale analysis of anaerobic
right.
right. In ESNT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, carry on.
Very interesting work, very interesting learnings happened at a porous scale, and how we can apply it for the real world injection of nutrients to perform bioremediation in the field aquifers. That was the extension of the work they were planning to do after the experiments. So I had the opportunity to work with two different professors. One is a microbiology person, Professor Rob Sanford, and the one in the environmental engineering, Professor Charlie Worth. And both had two large teams. So I was really working in two different teams. Very interesting experience.
What do you think is that if 2-3 things you would credit that made you where you are. So that in terms of yeah, your personal trait, I will ask you later on that what is your strength. But here I am interested in more about the milestones or some of the achievements that tell you that, okay, and you reached here.
Yeah, so I was an academic researcher until that point, and after I came back to teach in IIT Madras, a lot of academic, it was all done in the labs. But I think the biggest transition came about when I stepped into the field. And again, this was, again, it was a very important landmark, I would say, in my life.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of oil spills I was seeing in the news, but then there was no follow-up. No, every 3 months there will be oil coming to the surface of the ground. There will be a leak in North Chennai, and there was one leak in another part of Chennai from a petrol station, and people were complaining. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So, uh, and then there was no follow-up. I could not track what happened. What did they do? So one day, when the third time when I saw this news, and it also said Pollution Control Board is investigating. So I was heading to the airport for visiting uh, somebody, I think in Kerala. I was traveling to Kerala. So I just turned around the car and went into Pollution Control Board because I had to pass by Pollution Control Board to go to the airport. So it was just a momentary decision. I just decided to just go and see ask somebody what they did. The previous day there was a report. So I could manage to meet the chairperson of Pollution Control Board. At that time, Mr. Karthikeyan, IAS, was the chairman. And I told him I'm interested in knowing more about this. I have been trained in the US to understand, to investigate this type of oil spill problems. So will I get a chance to investigate this problem? So immediately he was very, very receptive, and he called his engineers, and he set up a meeting with the oil company who had caused the spill, and the engineers of Pollution Control Board and myself, to understand the problem. And he asked the oil company to take my help and do a very detailed study of the oil spill area. That was a turning point. So my first experience to work in a real field, and it was very challenging also because North Chennai is a very, very crowded place, very narrow streets, old part of Chennai. And we were allowed to work only from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. in the morning because we had to put some drilling wells, take samples, and they didn't want to disrupt the traffic. So it was very interesting, though. I was very excited. We would leave at 10 p.m. after dinner, and we'll be spending like past midnight, way into the mornings, drilling, taking samples to understand the extent of the spill. Because until then, they would just, if there is a pipeline spill, they would just open up, fix the leakage, cover it up, and lay the road, and everybody would forget about it. So we went a little further. We looked at the entire area, like it was about 1,000 square, like less than half a square kilometer area, to understand where the oil has moved based on the pumping and other things. And so multiple wells were drilled. We took samples of the soil, the groundwater. We also did resistivity surveys to see if there is any correlation. Very, very interesting to do the field work. And finally, our report showed clearly the extent of the plume. There was oil sitting there uh, below, just floating on the water, anywhere from 1 foot, 1 to 1.5 foot in some places. to few inches in some places. And then the report was submitted to the National Green Tribunal, and the Green Tribunal instructed the oil company to clean up, do a complete cleanup of the area, including soil and groundwater. I think that was it was a big a reward for me in terms of making a change in the way people do stuff whenever there is an oil, whenever there is a groundwater contamination with oil spills or any spills.
I mean, I can see this smile or a kind of satisfaction on your face while you talk about that. And that was the year, which year? This project you took up?
2015. 14, we started investigation. It took 1 year to get to the point where NGT accepted that there is a problem.
Okay, so let's talk about your challenges. I mean, what has been the challenges, two or three challenges of your academic journey so far, or teaching, or academic, or handling lab, whatever you can say.
In the academic side, you mean?
Yeah, in academic or research, or even so in your professional life, what has been, if you have to identify the challenges, what will be the 2 to 3 challenges that you would like to identify with or faced?
I'm just thinking. So one thing is, I find the whole issue of groundwater contamination in a very, very nascent stage in India. In spite of a lot of reports coming up in many parts of the country, nobody is thinking about remediation. Everybody is trying to replace it with supply good water and forget about the contamination. There is the seriousness of the contamination. People don't realize, including the policy makers, the regulators, and it's very difficult even to get funding to do research in this area, or also or do some piloting in this area, because there is no pressure, there is no even funding agencies don't think that is an important area. Most probably because it is like out of sight, out of mind. Nobody can see it, unlike a river pollution or a lake pollution or air pollution. There is no immediate effect, or they don't see it visually. But that is a big problem. It's like a time bomb. We are already over abstracting the groundwater, and so we are losing in terms of quantity, and whatever is left over, if the quality is getting worse, particularly with industrial contaminants, petroleum contaminants, solvents, which are very difficult to treat, then we are actually heading towards disaster. So funding is a constraint in this area. Implementation, even polluters, even though we demonstrated that it can be done with this project, it's not being carried forward. Everywhere there is petroleum spill happening, but it's not being carried forward in a big way. People try to just close the matter, that's it. So I see
actually
that as a big problem.
Okay. Do you want to name any second challenge, or this is all?
The second challenge, I would say, is the lack of good laboratories in the country for doing this analysis of a little more complex analysis. Contaminants, yeah. Most of the laboratories, the poor quality control, Nobody is checking for the quality, and major decisions are being made from the laboratory reports. There are no good consultants. Everything, the lab is asked to go and take a sample and prepare a report, and all decisions are made by the regulators based on that. We need a second level of good, competent consultants, like how they have in the US, who can do the investigation. Maybe academic people can advise them on certain aspects of it, the science, but we don't have good certified engineers. No, the engineer certification is a big lacuna in our country. Okay, so the quality of work in all engineering suffers because of this lack of certification. So I think for the environment particularly, there are a lot of projects which are coming up, which have been taken up by people who don't have much knowledge about the subject. So there's a dire need to have certified environment consultants who can do projects at scale in the field.
Do you remember your first lecture at IITM?
Oh, yeah.
And how has been your teaching experience so far?
Wonderful, wonderful. That's something which lightens my day. And I love teaching undergraduates because they're young minds, although they may not be very interested in civil engineering. And then even in civil engineering, their last preference is environment and water resource, right? But they hear a lot about environmental issues outside. So I see that it is important as a faculty to build, or keep that interest going, continue, and so that we can have at least 10% of the class get interested in pursuing environmental engineering as a career choice in future. So it's really interesting, satisfying experience, I would say, at the end of every class to see the bright faces. You know when you look at your class that you've done a good job that day or not. The proof of the pudding is just, you can see it in their eyes and the interactions they have. And the challenging part in teaching and undergraduate is you cannot do the same rote teaching, right? You have to bring in stories, you have to make it exciting, you have to keep them engaged. So every class is a challenge, though you want to take some other, every time you have to take new methods, right? Go with the story, think about the class, what you're going to teach, not just the material, but material anyway, you're going to do it anyway, but how to deliver it, how to make it more interesting. So we do like Mentimeter sessions every alternate day. Take a story, take them to the field, or come up with, we have to keep innovating. And I think that is the challenge, and I enjoy doing it. And that is what keeps me going apart from my research.
So what is your philosophy of teaching? Of course, you have already told several things. And what we didn't get in previous answer is that, do you remember your first lecture?
I exactly don't remember it, but I don't know the first class, but maybe I know the first batch because I taught a master's level course. And it was a very diverse group of students. In masters, at the graduate level, you teach PhDs, you teach masters, and then there are students who from undergraduation who take it as an elective. And in IIT, we also have a lot of a few students from the industry and the government. Regulatory bodies send their engineers to be in graduate programs. And we also get students from the army. So was a very, very diverse
Diverse.
class. Yeah. And I had to, yeah, my first semester was quite tough because you have to
So, I
take.
mean, I just take one opportunity to tell you that because being the eldest and I have three younger brother, one sister, so I have been teaching always, and I always keep my sibling who is just 2 years younger to me. But and throughout with I used to explain things to my friends. But when it took formal teaching, the first day I was kind of nervous that okay, what to do in that, what not to do that. And my first lecture was of these PhD students were there, so I was a little bit yeah. But yes, I can tell you is that, and then when I changed to IIT from university to IIT, then at that time also it was like few days, few months, I would say, was really, really special. The entire course I was, I mean, I studied a lot those time, and
Mhm.
which is helping. And yeah,
Yes, yes,
um,
I did that too. I mean, I was teaching physicochemical treatment processes, and I had these big books always with me. I don't think I have ever studied, even for my
yeah.
exams, right? For teaching, you have to really study very hard, bring in a lot of uh, new ideas from different books. So, and
And
also,
and the difference was that earlier for a passing exam, we want only important things that should not be missed. But here, for teaching, we want, is there anything that I don't know or I cannot explain very, very well? So finding that is, yeah, I
yeah.
mean, since this initial years of 2000 to now 2 decades in the job, uh, what kind of milestones, or if you will ask, you will be asked to give the three achievements, you have already given one, or which year was you consider it most productive year of your career, or which phase, maybe 15 to 18 was very nice or something like that, if you want to say.
Yeah, I think we are this current phase.
Mm-mm.
What I'm in now, probably after 15 years of my career, it is
Mhm.
you're reaping the fruits of your labor.
Yes.
Very rewarding. I'm seeing my own students becoming
Yeah.
faculty and inviting me, and so
Mm.
feel so proud to
Mm,
go
mm,
there
mm.
and see how they are doing well, establishing their labs, their research and teaching. And also some of my projects which have been completed, to get good comments from the people who have funded those projects in the industry, or all those are very, very rewarding experiences.
Mm, mm,
um,
mm.
and the other thing, the recent project which I'm very proud of is the Carbon Zero Challenge Innovation and Entrepreneurship Contest, which we have been running 3 years in a row with the COVID break.
Mm.
Um, that has been a very, very satisfactory uh, experience for me, and we have been able to, the very unique program where entrepreneurship and innovations in the environment domain are supported. The student
Mm.
teams and early stage startup teams, they receive funding. We train them to become eco entrepreneurs, give them all the inputs on how to become successful even with a environment based startup idea. So we have supported 50 um, teams like that so far, and they have all been successful to some extent. Many have become startups, and many are in the journey. And currently, also, we are supporting 30 teams to become startups in this environment area. And that is one thing which I'm really happy that I could make a difference.
Administration. Have you done any sort of administration in your career, and how has been the experience, and what will be your suggestions to become a good administrator? One argument that is being made is that a researcher do a research and then become academician, the administrator, and once they are administrator, they probably do not remain a researcher or something. So your 2 cents on that.
I think it's a question of balance. And I think when you are in an academic environment, you have to do a bit of everything. You may not be trained, but it's a job. You are on the job training. Even teaching is like that, right? You're not trained to be a teacher. You just learn on the job. The quicker you get into it and you enjoy doing it, it comes naturally. So administration is also something like that. I have been a warden of the girls' hostels in IIT Madras. I've been the head of the lab, environmental engineering, for 3 years. So managing people is quite a difficult task for many researchers. Many researchers would love to just sit in a corner, focus on their research, read, do stuff, but it doesn't come naturally to many people. But I always enjoyed being with people. So I enjoyed my administrative responsibilities, being in control, interacting with people on a day-to-day basis, not just science and research interactions, but also looking at their career development and training and all these other non-technical stuff, looking at them, supporting them, helping them grow in their career also. So I really enjoy it, and particularly students. I just love being with students, either in the class or off the class. You get a lot of energy from them.
Yes, I think the most, the advantage of being academician is that we are never sort of fresh energy, fresh ideas, fresh people. That every year it is replenished with the new generation and new people. And we never know that when generation has changed, unless we look back and take a look, okay, how was the 10 years back? But otherwise, we go with the flow. And we are so blessed with the new people, new energy, and new ways. And I don't know how we handle them gradually, because we also instinctively learning those things. But it has been a amazing thing. So if I would say that you are all set to be a director of some IITs or NITs, or would it be right? Because because it seems you enjoy the people, and you said that you love to make them grow.
No. I think administration, being with students, is fun, but not dealing. Being even head of the department is going to be a pain, because it's going to be your colleagues you're going to manage. It becomes very difficult, and you have to know the art of being tough, to take tough decisions and talk to people straight on the face, and also tell them in a why you take such decisions. That needs a lot of effort and time.
Lot of energy extensive processes.
I don't think I'm cut for that. And you can easily be taken for a ride if you are soft. If you are not too tough, people can take you for a ride. Although it is good to deal with people, to be nice and be soft and be caring, I think administrators should also be tough.
So you know the attributes of a good administrator, and you know that what can go wrong and what needs to be done. And we never know who will hear this or watch this episode. So they will know, oh, Professor Nandi is ready. So tell me, if you want to recalibrate your answer and tell me something.
Well, it is good to have power so that you can make a difference. A lot of times
Yes.
I look around, even in our own system, and there are lots of things that can be changed and changed for better. But you feel powerless. You can only knock doors, but not many doors
Mm.
open. I'm also chairperson of the Women's Forum in IIT Madras. So there are a lot of things which can be done, but there are several reasons why administrators have no their own constraints. So we have to be on the other side to understand those constraints and strike a
Mm.
balance. But you still need to do
Mm.
something. You need to change for the better. So it will be good
Mm.
to get into their shoes as an administrator and see if you can do things differently. So the community, the campus, and the people can be better, can lead a better, have a better level of system in place. Already we are doing well, but still there are a lot of changes. So as an administrator, it will be good to have that, power in your hands to take some decisions, of course, with the help of others,
Mm.
make it happen, make the system better. There is
Yeah,
always scope for improvisation.
I think thank you very much for giving the better answer second time, because the like when I was in the lab, maybe I was handling 20 people, 20 odd students or postdoc or GRF. Uh, but when I see that when I become head of the department, I am influencing one notch up. So I am now influencing my colleague to do better, motivate them, inspire them, and then it percolates down. So then my thoughts are influencing maybe 100 people, or maybe more than that, because my students of MTech or BTech and those all are somewhere getting affected from the decisions that I am making. So the sphere of influence gets increased. And so impact of your good thing and bad thing both increases. Yeah, so this is also a kind of this, this 2 to the power n nuclear chain reaction. So n increases, and everything makes a difference. Yeah, but I do believe that managing your lab and managing your in the department or a university or institute is a different ballgame. And I am really happy that you, and I think your superiors or whoever will be watching this will know that this empathy towards the towards the administrator also needs to be there. When I was, as a faculty member, I had different opinion altogether for heads and deans, but now I know that what are their challenges. I mean, and I wish I could go back and change my attitude towards them.
Yeah, we have to put ourselves in their shoes and think what they are going through. Yeah.
What is your advice for a PhD beginner, whether some engineer thinking whether they should go for PhD or not? So what will be your advice? What will be your advice to a postdoc who is, a person who is about to finish the PhD, and somebody who is, after doing everything, looking for job, academic jobs and something? So just quick.
Yeah, I think the country at this point of time needs a lot of teachers in different levels of colleges. So I think IITs have a big role to produce good quality teachers and then also researchers. But I would say country needs more of applied research rather than fundamental research, although that is also important. In India, there are lots of problems of the environment, which needs new technologies. And most often we are finding people go and buy these technologies from abroad, and half the time it doesn't work in our environment. So I strongly advise PhD students and master students graduating from my lab all the time to go and become problem solvers, whether they are academic, whether they are in the academic environment or in the industry environment, or become an entrepreneur. Try to take up problems relevant to India, try to develop innovative solutions to solve these problems through your research or through your startups. Uh, because as I told you earlier, we don't have trained manpower, and most of the talent, the cream of the population of the graduates, either they go to IT or finance or all the other fancy robotics, aeronautics, AI, and all that. So in environmental engineering, there is a dearth of brains, good quality brains who can do some applied work. So please don't go into some other field. Try to stay and solve the problems in our field. That is my advice.
Okay. What will be your take on uncertainty, like after PhD or postdoc, no academic jobs and something?
I mean, if you are good, you can always make a living out of what you have learned. Nowadays, entrepreneurship is becoming a big thing in India. A lot of support is being given. So if nobody is giving a job, you try to have your own startup and you start giving jobs to others. There are enough problems to solve. Water, wastewater, waste management. There are lots of money out there. If you run a good company, there's a lot of money out there. Government money is going into the hands of contractors who don't know anything. So I don't think it should be a problem. You should be confident. If you are confident about your domain knowledge, you can definitely carve a livelihood, a very well-paid livelihood in whatever field you choose to be in the environment sector.
How to manage a lab and how do you solve the conflict of lab?
Conflict, you mean?
Mm-hmm. So if there is some conflict between your members, how do you solve that? And how to be a good lab manager?
Yes, I think that's a very important thing. Skill again, you learn on the job, managing people within your group. But it's easier because they are all your students and not your colleagues. So, so we generally we have a two-tier system: a senior research scholar and the juniors who are coming in. And if there is a postdoc, again, there is a three-tier system. So people should fall in line. There are rules that there should be well laid out rules for the use of chemicals, the use of space, cleanliness, safety. And if everybody who comes into the lab the first time is given clear instructions, and we should also show them who is going to be the leader of this team, then there should be a good mechanism of reporting, so that when as a faculty managing multiple projects, it's difficult to go into the nitty-gritty details of what's happening in the lab. But as long as the rules are clear and the reporting system is well established, then you deal with the postdocs and the senior research scholars. Unless there is a serious problem, you have to keep it open for the others also. And that has seemed to work well so far.
And conflict, if there is a fight, even after everything.
Conflict resolution. I think I'd just take them out for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Or lunch, or invite them home. I do invite a lot of my students home. So,
Mm-mm.
and it's just the two people who are in conflict with each other.
Yeah.
Just make
Mm-mm.
them interact the whole day with me, and
Yeah.
so automatically they
Yeah. Things
the
have.
problem comes if they don't once they start separating and there's no
Mm.
communication, it just keeps building up. So just make them communicate out of the lab. It
Yeah.
helps.
How do you look at any CV for PhD position or faculty positions or something before
Yes.
saying yes or something?
As a CV, yes, when you look at you look mainly for their achievements, right?
Mhm.
And then you go not just the numbers, but go into the papers and see what work they have done, what is their contribution to that paper. Um, and the usual indices give you some idea, but I think most of the decisions we have to make based on reading in depth the articles they have produced uh, and understand what is their contribution. But I think that's only 50% of the evaluation. More important is the evaluation. I'm looking at the faculty recruitment. So when they come in person, that is when the big decision has to be made. No, whether their interpersonal communication, whether they have the capacity to answer questions, no, which are very not like memory based questions, but
Yeah.
are they able to think and answer? That is very important. So even if they have only 3 or 4 publications, it's fine if they have the potential to build a lab, collaborate, and have will be they should be able to mix with the group because the health of the division or the department lies in the communication between the people who are in the group. So that's very, very important. The personality of the person, the interpersonal communications, and the capacity to do work, diversify, collaborate. All those are very, very important skills you can judge only when you talk to them in person.
Yeah, great. I think this will give a lot of thoughts, a lot of food for thoughts to our listeners. So because now publication come into the picture, how do you choose the journal for publications, whether impact factor matters to you or you want to reach out to a open access journal, or how do you see about this paid and the paying for the open access and all?
Yes, I think impact factor is important. I mean, if not now at early stages, definitely, because we have to go with the crowd, right? So it's important to publish in high journals with high impact factors. And now I'm thinking of my students. For them to build a career, they need these impact factors. Whether we like it or not, we have to go with the crowd. I have not been a big fan or not even explored open access journals. Uh, Maybe I should do those things in future. But I think more than impact factor, some journals are recognized by the domain experts, right? They may not have a great impact factor, but it's your WRR and other things are quite recognized.
Hydrogeology journal.
Yeah. So it depends. It depends on what domain you are and what is
Groundwater, hydrogeology journal. They are, I mean, so tough. And yeah, I mean, I remember hydrogeology journal, and they after acceptance there were 6 months of revision. on the editorial text. So those makes it valued, and of course the reputation of the journal, though many times do not reflect with the impact factor, because this is a domain specific interdisciplinary journal generally have to have the more impact factors.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that is there, but sometimes what I have learned through a experience is that if you have something important to say and urgently to say, maybe just say it, because nowadays search engines are not looking at impact factors, and we go to the Google Scholar or we go to the Scopus and just put the keyword. So until lately, whenever I used to put in the Google emerging contaminants and something, my paper used to come first. And that paper has now more than 500 citations, and it's published in Groundwater for Sustainable Development, which has not impact factor even now. So many times I feel this paper got very highly cited because it goes to that journal. So whoever goes there, it is now most downloaded paper or most cited paper. So people again, rich becomes richer and something like that. So that kind of things also work. Anyway, this is just not my interview, but yours. So
I've always been very, very amazed. I've been looking at your progress. No, it was it's truly inspiring. So I used to tell my students, this is how a faculty should grow in the early stage. So much of accomplishments, and you have explored domains which are beyond your core domain also, like what you did during the COVID. It was like we've all been thinking and trying, but then you made it happen. It was really nice to see something coming out of India on wastewater epidemiology. So
maybe sometimes if you run best when a gun is on your head. So maybe, but yeah, I think, I met you in 2013 when I was organizing Indo-Japan. And that time I saw you as a presenter when you came, and then I saw you in IGC. Maybe that time you didn't notice me. There was an International Groundwater Conference in Chennai.
The first one was in Delhi, right?
Yeah. The first one was so you came in 2006, but I organized one Indo-Japan Alphabet, and then there was a in International Groundwater Conference in Chennai. You were the keynote speaker, and that time I was like, if C is chosen for keynote, what did I do? So I have been, I mean, this has been more than a decade since I follow you or I know of you, and yeah, nice. It is coming from you is a great satisfaction. You also, I have seen that anti-AMR, antimicrobial resistance, you wrote some impact papers. So I was searching, I was thinking, okay, so I am I'm getting some niche and some more impact. Then I saw, oh, she has published it much before than me. So that is there. So you have been an NaPl, non-aqueous liquid phase. I mean, this is the contaminants is so much, like you have already given a lot of emphasis that why it is not a problem of all, because groundwater is like, oh, this strata has a problem, go deeper. Oh, this is a problem of shallow, we are not drinking that one. So this all has made the challenging of this field. So if I will ask you that 3 thrust area for in groundwater field, where you like researcher to come up, what will be those?
Of course, I think NAPL in India is completely unknown to many of the groundwater people. I think that should be given its due importance. With so much of petroleum, I myself have investigated several sites, but none of them have been remediated so far. So that is one. And then chromium. I see CPCB has listed about 100 plus sites across the country for highly polluted sites, and almost 85% of them are chromium sites. Hexavalent chromium is again a known carcinogen. And it's not as complicated as NAPL. So we can easily see remediate chromium contaminated sites. So, and then comes this emerging area of PFAS, which is found everywhere. No, initially when my students started sampling, I thought, oh, it may not be a problem. This is a problem of the West. We may be very struggling to find it, may be in very trace levels, and we may have to really struggle to analyze it. But then we started finding it in very high concentrations everywhere, wherever we were sampling. So that's a very, very problem, real problem, emerging problem staring at us. Again, awareness level is very, very poor. So in India, like I said, even the well-known problem of chromium and even natural problems like arsenic and fluoride, people just avoid and then supply water. But how long can we supply water from outside? How much carbon footprint it incurs? No, and is it sustainable? That the source, is it the source is sustainable, or the way we supply the water, that is also not sustainable? So we have to go back to our own resources and clean up. Okay, so these are, I think, the
yeah, I mean, one thing, although it comes under NAPL, and you already told about in situ remediation processes or technology, and that I want to connect it through your initial responses when you said that there is a lack of funding of lab, I mean the field level demonstration of the groundwater and those things. I don't know, the situation should change. There can be 0 day any day. Any day suddenly there will be a, I mean no longer water and something, and maybe that day, even if we wish to do something urgently, maybe it will be not enough. What will be the world's top 3 challenges at present and future?
Well, even before water, I think important thing is air, and we are seeing air pollution everywhere. Indoor air pollution. Recently, there was an article that indoor air pollution is killing people, and nobody is actually looking at it seriously. So, we'd say air pollution is one thing which we need to pay attention to. Climate change, yes. I often try to convince myself that yes, climate change. Because there is my husband works on climate change, and so I work on environmental issues, and I think a lot of funds is diverted to climate change when there are like real problems of diarrhea, microbial contamination, people, infants dying of simple microbial contamination every day. Why can't the funds be diverted to solving this problem, which is you're seeing people dying every day, rather than investing millions and millions of dollars? Of course, I mean, I'm probably very what to say, I think there's a disproportionate amount of funding because of probably a lot of the world coming together. That the problems of diarrhea and contaminated sites, wastewater, that is now the problem of the global south and developing countries. The Western world has solved those problems. For them, priorities are different. Even AMR, for that matter, is something which we need to look at it as a second priority compared. But because the West Western world is pushing. The world is pushing. No, we don't have to jump into that bandwagon. There are real problems in our country, as simple as microbial contamination. So we need to prioritize our funding, our efforts, our time into solving these solid waste staring at us
Management.
every street littered with solid waste, plastics. So there are simple problems, but huge problems which we need to pay attention. Okay, then there are others to solve the other bigger problems, but nobody else will come and solve our problem, our solid waste problem and our microbial contamination problem. We have to solve it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great, clarity in the thought, because especially when you say that AMR is being pushed from the developed country, and maybe in Indian case, scenario is different and we may need to focus on more. And that is why I never stopped worrying about arsenic or chromium or fluoride. While I am trying to do with those research, but I never shut down that. Yeah, one project I am running with the arsenic chromium WTI project. Let's see that outcome. Yes, we need to think about our problem first, and maybe it will be, no matter it is a regional one or but it is a pressing need. So pressing need should be understood by funding agency as well as academician. What should be the art of living of an academician life? I mean, do you have some advice about that? That okay, an academician should be doing or having this kind of philosophy or that kind of ideas or this kind of lifestyle or something like that? Although this is a bit tricky question and it can differ, but yeah, we would like to
So
hear from
academicians
you.
have a huge responsibility of leading by example. So you cannot be a normal citizen because people are looking up to you. Your students are looking up to you, your research scholars, your undergraduates. No, when the first, it hit me when I was in my second, third year, fourth year, probably into teaching. And I was teaching this ecology and environment course for undergraduates. And students hate that course. 800 plus students, right? 800 plus sitting in 3 rooms, we faculty in 1 room, and in 2 rooms they are screening the class in the other rooms. And so they are like so cynical. And we talk about sustainability and doing energy, water, how it affects the overall environment, carbon footprint, and all these things. And so when we got the feedback, we used to get the feedback from the students. And then one student had written straight on my face, no? So I see you driving a car, and you're talking about sustainability. That hit me. Okay, that was a wake-up call. And then I realized that we have a huge responsibility to practice what we preach. You cannot be just another citizen doing it. Teaching is not just a job. You have to lead by example. And so whether we like it or not, I mean, you have to start liking it, otherwise it will become a pain. But if we have to make changes the way we lead a life. As academicians, we have that big responsibility.
How do you think about networking? The collaboration and networking. So how much it is important and how to keep them alive? Because many times the collaboration starts with a good, that expectations, and that is not met, and then it breaks down. And maybe when it breaks down, when you had no collaboration, it's fine, but now you have an enemy.
Mhm.
So, yeah, your views.
Yes, I realized it very, very late that the
Mhm.
importance of networking. I think uh, this in this particular aspect, women are at a greater disadvantage compared to men.
Mhm.
Naturally, probably, naturally, one reason they're not, no, they don't uh, take an extra effort to go out for coffee with no collaborators or
Mhm.
colleagues, and also their pressure. There's a time pressure, right? They would
Mhm.
rather run home and feed the kid or
Yeah.
than go for a coffee, right?
Mhm.
Evenings, you want to rush home and do things at home rather than going out for
Mhm.
dinner with a visiting faculty from abroad. No, so
Mhm.
there is a
Mhm.
lot. We are at a very, very disadvantageous position, first of all. And I think culturally also women uh, probably, talking from the point of view of Indian women, they have less tendency to socialize with um, so this happens at a very early stage. Then you slowly get over it, but that's a very crucial stage for networking. It happens even
Mhm.
before, even in your college days. The men have a very good advantage because they hang out with friends after college, but women go
Mhm.
back home. It's just that 9 to 5 interactions they do. So a lot of disadvantages carries on from that age. But as a researcher, it is very important to start networking, meeting, talking to people, at least in conferences. If not socialize, at least have intellectual conversations during the conferences, during poster sessions, and also following up. Because people, I used to think that people will recognize me for my papers. They read my papers and then they would, if they want to collaborate with me, they would think that I'm a good fit for their research and they would come to me. But the value beyond no black and white paper kind of your work, when it comes, we are all social animals. So the
Mhm.
people come to you when the more the number of times they've seen you, they've interacted with you, you would come to their memory very fast rather than somebody from the paper. And
Mhm.
also, there is a certain level of comfort or frequency match beyond intellectual or research domain matching. The frequency matching and the comfort level is important for collaboration. So only when you interact and network, people can judge you for all those other no subtle aspects of your personality, which is very, very important for a long lasting collaboration. So we have to take an extra effort, go beyond our personal um, uh, what to say traits of being to yourself or your own groups. You have to get out. This is my advice to all the women researchers out there, all the younger researchers out there. Meet as many people as possible, socialize, discuss, and it's very, very important in this world, not just in your domain area. Interdisciplinary research is going to be leading in the next decade. Get out of your domains. Somewhere you will find a connection of working with somebody in electrical engineering or mechanical engineering. And that is going to be a big breakthrough. No, we have saturated working in our domain. There's no more new innovations going to come up in wastewater. But how are we going to bring in artificial intelligence or some
Mhm.
novel electrical engineering technology into wastewater treatment or solid waste management? Okay, so that for all that you need to go out there, talk to people, and just looking at papers and understanding a person is only 25%.
Now we are going to the last phase. where we are going to be, you have to be just rapid and tell about your likings and like that. What excites you about your work? You have no time to think. Just you have to say, oh,
Something whatever I do, I want to make an impact in people's lives. So I
so
think
influencing the lives, human lives,
my
excites you the
socially
most.
relevant projects are the ones which really
That excites
excite
you
me.
about your work.
Yeah.
What, when you are not working on research, what you would like to do?
Just chill with my daughter, go out shopping.
Okay, so what are your hobbies?
Um, I read books. Of late, it has come down a lot. And what else? I do visit places
Like,
whenever I find time.
how about listening to music or movies or anything of that sort?
Movies, yes, not a lot though. I'm not too crazy
Hmm.
about movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not much time to watch. Yeah.
not much time. I love
How
to
do you handle
travel.
pressure?
I love to travel and probably listen to music when we are driving, or maybe a friend.
Yeah, that is really a good time.
Really
How do
nice.
you handle pressure?
Pardon?
How do you handle pressure? Work pressure or family pressure or any pressure? When you are
Yeah, I
under
think
some pressure.
I keep it to myself. Basically, that's what people always tell that I'm very good at. It doesn't even show on the outside, but I I try to sort it out in my own way. Uh, I don't succumb to pressure, I would say. No, but I've been
So
able to handle it.
how do you I mean pass the troubling phase? What do you say yourself? All is well, or do you think that this is the time also it will pass? I wish you didn't had that kind of experience, but even if a small or bigger trouble, what do you tell yourself, and how do you pass those times, difficult times?
Yeah, I think troubling phase. Yeah, I did have some troubling phase, both mostly personal, but I think we have responsibilities, uh, and those responsibilities should come to your mind, and make sure that you don't succumb to
Yeah,
what you are going through, and keep yourself busy so that you forget about all that. That has been my policy.
great. Balancing family life and professional life.
Hmm.
How
I
do you
think
do
I've
that?
been being in IIT makes it a little easy because you're living in campus, you don't have to commute and all that. Um, but I think I've done a good job because I have supporting systems. My mother-in-law stays with me. My parents, until last 2 years ago, they were nearby. So there's a lot of supporting systems you need to keep, particularly a woman who's expected to do all this, families, responsibilities. Unless you have a good supporting system, it is very difficult to do this balancing act, and also raise your kids in such a way that no, they should be proud of. No, I think I could do all this because my daughter was very accommodative. No, the kids should not. Then it makes you feel guilty if your kids start complaining and telling you you're not spending enough time. Instead, if they feel proud of what you're doing, keep talking to them. Both your kids and your family members, I think, if they understand and value what you are doing, they will be ready to share more responsibility and cope with absence when you're traveling or anything. I think communication, open communication definitely helps.
What are your three major strengths?
Three major strengths. I work under pressure really well. I work on deadlines. That's when my
Your best
my
comes out.
yes, productivity goes up when there is a pressure. And I think people say I'm a very people person. I think that has been one of my strengths so far. That's one comment I've heard from people whom I have worked with. Strengths, what else? I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, third is that you can think and answer, and you have lot of clarity of thoughts, and you are very humble. So anyway, I added. So something you are not good at.
Something
You are not good at.
I'm not good at. I'm not good at being tough with my students or my kid. That is my weakness.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. Now we are going to think about. So now it is rapid fire is about like some of the things. Any role model?
Any role model? I think I've been fascinated with this Indra Nui. Yeah, a woman who has been able to accomplish, although she's in a different field. She had single-handedly gone from South India to lead such a big company, and I've seen a lot of nice things about. I've heard a lot of nice things about how strong she has been, and probably because I want to be like that in my own domain.
Yeah, great. H-index or citation? How much important these are for you?
H-index?
Yeah, H-index or citations. So just you have to say, I mean, just one line important, but not so important or something. Yeah, I mean, so
I
what
don't
is
care.
your
I don't check.
Okay.
The last time I checked was I had to make something for my professor application. So.
Okay. Yeah. After that, no need. If that application is successful. I already asked you things. Your most favorite author?
Most favorite author? Yes. I used to read a lot of Arthur Haley. He writes a lot of. There's a lot of detail in his books. No, it's not just picking a book and reading a story, but you learn about the whole system, how things work. I like his books on airport. You learn everything about all the aspects of airport. Every player, their responsibilities. Hotel. I really enjoyed reading Arthur Haley's books.
Any Indian author or Tamil or any?
Indian author, yeah. Tamil historical novels used to fascinate me. Kalki, I think you must have seen the recent sensational PS1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kalki is my favorite. Used to be my favorite author. I used to read during school days, not anymore.
Okay. Favorite food?
Favorite food is sambar rice and potato curry.
Favorite drink?
Favorite drink, I would say, is lassi. Sweet lassi.
Not coconut water?
No. Sweet lassi is always I go for it.
Your favorite book?
Recently, I mean, I'm getting more philosophical, I think. The Himalayan Master. I read one about the Himalayan Master, Sri M. Sri M is the yogi who went to the Himalayas. So fascinating.
Your favorite movie?
I want to do that someday. Travel to the Himalayas. I'm going to do that soon.
Yeah, please come. And I am also thinking to go to Gangotri and those things. Your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Recent times or old times?
Both. You invited the problem. So now.
Yeah, recent times I really like this movie called Bahubali. You might have seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the grandeur, the way they have pictured. I like that. Olden times, I used to like a lot of these really like black and white movies, very storytelling, where a lot of importance was given to the storytelling. Tamil movie. Yeah.
Favorite actors? Favorite actors, both male and female.
Favorite actors: Surya and Trisha in recent times.
Wow, so these are and olden time. Previously,
I used to like Rajnikant.
And any Hollywood actor?
Hollywood actor. I love in actor. Okay, actor. I used to like. What is his name? I'm forgetting people's names nowadays. Oh my God.
Tell me a movie, I will tell you the name.
Yeah, it's Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
He used to act with Julia Roberts. Oh my God, how did I forget?
So you mean Pulp? I mean this guy. I am also. I am. He has. He is very. He looks very smart and something.
Yes. Pretty Woman.
And
in Pretty
which
Woman.
one?
Pretty Woman.
Yeah, Pretty Woman. So woman actor and.
I'm trying to see.
Yes.
Let me Google. How did I forget his
No,
name?
I have already Googled it, and still I am not finding this guy. I can draw his name, but Richard Gere.
Richard Gere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard Gere.
Yeah. Well, the movies is done, and what is your favorite cuisine?
Cuisine. I would still go with South Indian.
South Indian, Andhra or Tamil or Kerala?
Tamil Nadu.
What is your favorite quote?
Quote? Well, you will see it in my emails also at the bottom. The biggest. Did you? It's not there in my civil email, I think. So the biggest. The biggest flaw of people is that somebody else will save the planet, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this is the any mantra. I mean, philosophy. I think helping people is your mantra of life, or
making a difference for
making a difference.
Yeah, making a difference for the environment, I would say.
Any trip in the past that you treasure a lot?
A trip which I treasure a lot. Yeah, a friend and I, we drove for a very long time from all the way from Chennai to Salem. It was so much fun because I was meeting her after almost 10 years.
Mhm.
So it was really nice. We could catch up and enjoy
Okay.
singing songs.
Any bucket list?
Yes, a lot of
Anything? Yeah, I mean, in both personal life and also in administration, because now you have started this AES and those things. So tell me some of the what we
huge
should await.
bucket lists. Bucket lists are huge. Right?
Yeah.
So I want to, AESP is one. I want Sustainable Campus Collective is one I started in IIT Madras, which we want to make the students, faculty, everybody get involved, making a truly sustainable campus. Looking at sustainable startups, which I'm already doing with Carbon Zero, but it has to catch up nationwide. We are able to reach only a few states and a few colleges outside Tamil Nadu. But it has to be nationwide because I feel indigenous technologies and indigenous companies can only save India's environment. Nobody else is going to come, and they're only going to come here for making money. And we need low cost technologies for the environment.
Great.
So yes, it's quite, I want students, I want to have a course which is like a living labs course, right? So it's not a regular course, but because I see the excitement when my students, when I take them out
Go
for
into
a
the
field
field.
visit. So why can't a course be just field visits? So they go learn, come back and do something in the lab. And then, so it's not like a regular course. Maybe it has to be on Saturdays. And I think that can be the experiential learning is what is going to inspire undergraduates to come to the field of environment. Our curriculum is not helping us do such things, but I think being in an IIT, we can propose and make that happen. That is going to be my next idea to take forward. Yes, I think it's a long bucket list.
What about personal?
Personal, yes, travel. Wish I could travel to many places with friends. My daughter is anyway going to be in US very soon. So I should take time to travel.
Okay. Last but not the least, if you were not an academician, what would you have been?
Probably I would have continued my job in L&T and
No.
vice president or something in L&T.
Okay. Let me tell you that if you are not in, in academics or in engineering.
That's an interesting question. I've never thought I would have been a doctor. I think fate had it different because I wanted to be a doctor, but I was too young to take the entrance exam. I was only.
Wow.
It had to be. I had to be 17 to take the entrance exam, 17 or 18. But so they didn't allow me to the medical school.
Wow. I don't know whether somebody's loss is always somebody's gain. So engineering got some medical school might have lost a gem like you. So that's conclude our conversation, and I can only say that I listened to you very carefully, and it felt like you have very thoughtful answers and everything. So yeah, it is great, so great to have you on this program, and thank you for obliging us to appear here.
It's my pleasure, Manish. It was really nice. It was like talking to a long time friend. I didn't feel like it has brought us close to, I think.
Yes, definitely. I think the most important thing that I gain through this talk is that know and earn the friends and all those things. And that's touch wood. I hope that it continues.